So today is the 11th of July, 2022. Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Like my official YouTube videos. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel. Go to my website, www.susanmuling.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribell.com. So I am going to include the links to this particular inspiration for this official YouTube video of mine. So I'm going to start with in reference to obviously the Roe versus Wade situation. Now, it took a few moments in one of the clips before bringing forward the truth. Why is it that no one has paid attention in reference to the sexual assault survivor as to the 10-year-old female regarding that situation? Where are her parents having made that particular report known? Why would it be the or legal guardian or whatever capacity of, where would it be found in that particular news report? So if there are medical records in reference to that, okay, well, there is the HIPAA or the privacy rights situation. However, where are her parents having done so? If it was that big of a deal. That's first and foremost. And I've acknowledged in reference to the facts as to how I had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, and I had a subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain, which took 8.5 years to dissipate. And yes, despite the justice of the peace situation, which occurred while I still had the subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain, obviously, because it wasn't even a full year from waking up from my coma, which it was only 1.5 years when I delivered my son, and only 2.5 years when I delivered my daughter after delivering my son. My ex-in-laws didn't get the actual divorce. It was the second and final separation before his death. Nonetheless, the fact is that where would the parents have been regarding a 10-year-old child? Now, if it was a legal guardian situation because of those problems in a different capacity, such as McCoy Elementary School, as to that factor regarding the Fort Worth Zoo, and those situations where while I was doing the best I possibly could for both my son and my daughter after that, well then where is that Child Protective Service report? Now in regards to the Fort Worth Zoo, I used my phone, it was a cell phone, to contact law enforcement. I walked directly over to, after parking, so I drove over to the Carrollton Police Department in regards to the Fort Worth Zoo. I made a phone call out to the area as to the Fort Worth Zoo regarding law enforcement. There was a meeting in an office building in regards to one location where I was wearing my red business suit as far as at that time in the year 2010. And my hair being the shade of color that it is, there is that as well. Now, granted, if they didn't have color video footage, well then that's a different situation, though that because of it being digital, there are ways to actually, it's not called enhancement, though there are ways to review that, to be capable to edit it so that way you can have the colors actually show. So you have a multitude of situations in conjunction to the fact of the moves in the reference point as to this. So in reference to the Ohio child, as to, yeah, the abortion problem regarding, which obviously surviving assault is one aspect. However, what is the process as to going after an individual that would impregnate a 10-year-old child? There is no excuse, there is no cause, there is no reason that would ever be considered as acceptable for not having that taken care of, whether by the child's parents and or the doctor and or the medical facility, the insurance company. I mean, there's a multitude of areas that easily would have been capable to do so immediately, without any hesitation. So there's no real excuse in regards to that would ever be considered as excusable. There's no cause that would ever be considered as anything other than a political stunt, in my opinion, regarding the Ohio situation. And then there's no aspect that would be considered as reasonable for not having those particular form aspects capable to be found. Now, yes, I understand that in certain regards, the changing of the name, that, well, when you change the name, you're supposed to actually update those policies so that way you don't have that same problem as to repeating the patterns of behavior. Because just because you want to change a name from one healthcare type to another healthcare type, you still have to keep those records. And that should be mandatory, in my opinion, as far as that's concerned. So that's a starting point for this particular official YouTube channel video of mine. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos, and if you're going to leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect. Also, go to my website, www.susannewling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Now, in reference to, again, I'll put the links in the information sector below for this official YouTube video of mine. What in reference to the Democratic Party did they expect in regards to the 2020 election? If there are those who have an issue. So one of the video links brings up that they had made the President of the United States of America, 46, Joe Biden, have to take a break because of whatever. Well, the 2020 election cycle, take a look at the video footage and news reports during the 2020 election cycle. It's that simple. You don't even have to do that much research on that. All you have to do is look at the actual rallies as far as that's concerned. So what would it be in those particular factors? In conjunction to that, as far as the discussion points, well, if the Democratic Party, whichever level of, what is it that they thought was going to happen? The literal comparison of going from President of the United States of America 45, Donald J. Trump, who was constantly out and about, constantly doing all sorts of stuff, you don't even have really that excuse, in my opinion, in that reference, because automatically, to keep at the energetic level that 45 had been, you could take the time frame as to before the 2020 election cycle. All you have to do is literally take a viewpoint as to how much you saw before he became 46 as far as President of the United States of America, Joe Biden. All you have to do is look at how many events was he at during the time frame of 2015, although, 2016 election, through to the election cycle of 2020. You don't even have to do that much research to figure that out. So if in the capacity, in regards of 46, however many events, were they rallies, was it to the level that 45 was? Because you can't even compare the energetic portions in any capacity whatsoever without taking a look at that first. That's the first thing you would analyze. What was it that was actually occurring? So if you don't take in consideration 2015, 2016 through 2020, what was his schedule during that time frame? How many times did he actually go out somewhere? How many speaking events did he attend? Did he go to any rallies? Was there anything that he actually did as far as that's concerned? So the Democratic Party, as far as whatever capacities of, they literally have that to take in consideration. Then in regards to, while some might try to utilize, well, then there was COVID that was announced regarding 2020 in the month of March. Okay, if you take that in consideration, how many times was 45 in the news? How many times, despite not having been to as many rallies as he had during the 2015 and 2016 years, he had how many news conferences? How many times did he go to the podium? How many situations did he have in the Oval Office? What was the very public schedule during that time frame as far as 45 is concerned? How much did he organize and work on, and so on and so forth, that obviously was brought forward repeatedly throughout the news cycle? Is common sense. So if you compare that, okay, in reference to 46 and the Democratic Party, what aspects of the Democratic Party did they expect when it came to the 2020 election cycle? What did they really think was actually going to occur as far as their choice in that reference? They didn't have Hillary run, and you know that for a fact. As far as that's concerned, you had all the other candidates for the 2020 election regarding the Democratic side. The choice became who's 46, which was Vice President of the United States of America when President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, number 44, was president, as to the 46th Vice President of the United States of America regarding Joe Biden, then in 2008 through 2012. Now it's 2020 into this year of 2022, though the election cycle of 2020, the inauguration in 2021. I mean, I'm just going to point out there, he was literally the Vice President of the United States of America after he had been senator and whatever other elected officials for however many years before those 8 years of being Vice President of the United States of America. Then whatever in reference to the time frame of 2012, though officially 2013, to the time frame of 2020, as far as the 2020 election. What did they actually expect was going to happen? And as many younger individuals who are in the Democratic Party, whether it's because of whatever aspect in college, whatever they were raised by, whatever they had been around, as far as whatever capacities of, what did they expect? If you really take in consideration, even during the 2016 election cycle, Hillary had to bring out different celebrities just for people to attend, as far as that was concerned. And so who would be the names that were brought out regarding going to the different rallies at that point in time? And how many rallies were there as far as that's concerned? And then take in consideration how much work was done as far as the speaking events. So when you look at the difference between 45, I'm not hiding the fact that I voted for 45, both in the year 2016 when I was in the state of Washington, in the Seattle area, though, SeaTac area overall. How much work did he do as far as how many rallies, and then standing on the stage for how many hours with the preparatory work beforehand and whatever afterwards? I mean, you have to give them credit where credit is actually due. So in reference to even in the 2020 year regarding after March with the COVID situation, look at how much he did. How many questions, what level of to that amount of time? Just, it's as simple as research on the internet, that simply. And then take in consideration how many years had he been in the elected office in comparison to running business. Well, if there are those who don't understand that, getting it, this is why I don't like politics. This is why, because of bureaucracy. Because bureaucracy has the amount of time that you have to go over all these different details, whereas when you run a business and you got business to take care of, you take care of your business, you make sure everything is in its specific order, and then you can go do the other stuff in comparison to the wasted amount of time regarding bureaucracy needlessly. When other people think they have a right to get involved with anything at all they do with that needless bureaucracy, needless politics sort of stuff only causes damage needlessly. Stirring up needless problems, needless drama, stuff that really isn't necessary at all when it comes to business. When business is needing to be taken care of, it gets done. That's just how it is. But when you have bureaucratic garbage that has to be taken care of instead because of that bureaucratic whatever as far as making people's, egos feel better in comparison to getting work done, that's why I didn't like politics. But because of certain situations in the year of 2018 into 2019, no, that's fine. No, I'm not afraid to go and handle business. I went directly to, made sure it was as best as I could. You have the records regarding my journal blog, the Ornery PSA, on my website, www.susanmeeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. You have 4 different books, technically 5, that I had authored and compiled as far as the images as to my Medal of Honor Art Project pieces, to my Medal of Honor Art Project artwork. So 5 books, plus my journal blogs, as far as the updating portion, just in the year of essentially from September of 2019-ish to the January of 2020. Plus whatever journal blogs on my website, www.susanmeeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Then in March, in that between time of January 2020 to March 2020, is more journal blog updates as far as that's concerned before beginning my official YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to, as well as like my official videos and share the links to my official YouTube videos. So in regards to that sort of bureaucracy, even still, I went to rallies, I did all sorts of stuff during the time frame of 2020. So what is the difference regarding that? I had stuff to clarify and verify in comparison to whatever situations regarding other people that didn't have the right to get involved in any hypothetical aspect of. There's the merger situation, which I was capable to assist if there were those who paid attention to that, as to clarifying and verifying. And so in the references to all these other situations to Democratic individuals in any capacity, because remember, in 2008 and 2012, I dealt with a bunch of Democrats in the state of Texas who had a problem with the fact that I'm a Republican and have voted as a Republican since the first time I could vote in 2000. I voted for George W. Bush Jr. twice, as well as Dick Cheney, of course, and I had voted a straight Republican ticket both times. In 2008, I voted for Senator John McCain and Governor Sarah Palin, and in 2012, I voted for Senator Mitt Romney and I think it was Congressman Paul Ryan. So I've voted Republican for a long amount of time, and most specifically in the years of 2008's election and 2012 election, you again go do the research as to how that was a problem back then for the Democratic Party. It's very simple. So while individuals in the Democratic Party, they had gotten accustomed to what their memories are of Joe Biden, probably, hey, you got to pay attention, it was actually Barack Obama, President of the United States of America 44. He was the one who was doing whatever work. You only probably had what would be a limited version as to the terminology of MK Ultra, and that's probably where their viewpoint as 246 going from Vice President of the United States of America 46 to President of the United States of America 46. So in those regards, if in their own thoughts they couldn't disassociate because they figured at any point in time, if there was ever the discussion of it being Obama's second term, well, have you seen him? Has he been out on the trail as often as he was back in 2008 through 2015? Or has he only done a random speech here and a random speech there? And if it's the random aspects, well then, what is it that the Democratic Party would be complaining for? Elections have consequences. Isn't that something that 44 had said? So take that in consideration. It's common sense as far as that's concerned. Attention to details. Good morning. So you miss 45, don't you? That's what it is. You miss 45. You know 45 ran his mouth, and he could talk about all sorts of stuff, but he could also back it up. That's what it is, isn't it? That the DNC, as far as some of the whatevers, as far as that's concerned, you miss him, don't you? You miss him being around. Because you just can't keep your eyes off, can you? You just can't. You have to keep your eyes glued to the screen because what is he going to say? And then you have to listen intently because what is he going to say? What is he going to say now? What's he going to do? And that's what it is. It's that you and I would guesstimate that the Democratic Party are trying to get 45 to speak in comparison. That they want him to say something so that way they could be like, it's 45, what's up? In comparison. That's what it is, isn't it? Because I haven't really looked, I'll be honest, but I didn't really see too much in reference to his rally in Alaska as to any real complaints. Why not? Why not? It's because CNN and MSNBC and NBC, you miss 45, don't you? You do, don't you? You miss them. You do. Because you know you do. You know you do because you just glued to the screen looking at and that's what it is, isn't it? That's what it is, where you're just like, oh. It's like that. It's an irony. I think it's a hippie time frame song. Don't know what you got till it's gone. Hey Paradise, put up a parking lot. Well, you know, I mean, isn't that an irony? Isn't that where one of the rallies was as that particular point in time? Just saying. So if in any capacity, it's what it is, isn't it? You miss 45. You miss 45. You miss how he can talk shit and back it up, don't you? Don't you? You do. You miss it, don't you? You miss how you miss his personality, doing all sorts of whatever. You miss and how serious he can be. You miss it, don't you? Despite all the other naysayers as far as that's concerned, you miss it, don't you? Miss 45. You miss 45. Just admit you miss 45. You miss just. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just, acknowledgement is the first step. Okay? Instead of being all sad and pouty, you could just, that first step of acknowledging it, that it makes it easier. especially with as many Democrats as have been to college and been through some sort of psychology or guidance counselor or whatever capacity of, just acknowledge it. Because, the first steps, little baby steps, the little baby steps. You miss 45. You miss 45. You didn't think about that, did you? As far as the 2016 election. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that no matter what, I knew that I didn't speak about this with anybody. This is a aspect, okay? Now I did acknowledge in a prior official YouTube video of mine that I had contacted 45's campaign and let him know as far as what my Medal of Honor guys, as to my Medal of Honor art project work that I was doing, as to their viewpoint, as far as I was concerned. And so I knew for a fact that if 45 ran 8 years total, like had been in office for 8 years, one after the other, I knew for a fact this, as far as this is concerned, would be so much worse. If he did 8 years straight. I knew it for a fact. I knew it. Now, I didn't know that, I knew that he was going to have a landslide victory. But see, a landslide victory is not just in reference to he himself. That goes into the Republican aspect and the GOP portion as to he didn't have as much backup at the time. He could back it up with his own stuff to a degree. But in reference to individuals in Congress and Senate that were willing to actually step forward public, because you have what terminology of the silent majority. So in that regard that's why in the 2020 election you can see, as far as the cycle, you can see we're in a very different capacity as to a metaphor where I brought up, well, why have, if this occurred, if this happened, what's up? Like, are you mature? And so then you can take that in consideration as to monkey see, monkey do, for lack of a better terminology. And so when the news reports, not just pop culture, but those who pay attention to that, and then they see the capacities of, well then, you could see the capacities of. You could see the influence as far as. So in reference to people who, maybe whatever viewpoint of as far as 45 is concerned, and seeing other capacities that may have been inspirational as to stepping forward and taking that amount of time to internally review where is it that they themselves want to go. What is it that they themselves see them being capable to do to push themselves forward, to progress towards betterment? What is it that they themselves in that capacity of? And so in regards to my updates regarding my journal blog, the Ornery PSA, on my website, www.susanmeeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com, those who, and this would be more in reference to military guys. You have who I call Badass Navy SEAL. So that's Dan Crenshaw of Texas, a representative there. You have Colonel Alan West as far as the GOP. He has retired in that capacity, but he still has been a part of that. You have who I refer to as Cutie Patootie Marine, and well, he's not in reference to running at this point in time, but he's been giving contribution on Fox News. You have who I call Cutie Patootie Navy SEAL. Rob O'Neill. As far as that's concerned, he's done quite a bit. And you have Vigilance Elite that's come out. As far as the YouTube channel, you have more military guys who, over the time frame, such as what General Mattis has brought forward, where he had, gave suggested reading lists for various individuals to educate themselves. You have the time frame after whatever aspects too. And individuals who signed the dotted line, however that went, whatever capacities of, however, in regards to both before the attacks on the 11th of September in 2001, but also the time frame afterwards. And whatever they chose to do, especially the ones afterwards, though also having the experience from the ones before, the ones afterwards, wherever they went, and if they were already in, but those aspects of individuals who joined and signed the dotted line thereafter, and whatever capacities of, whether they were capable to retire and then go into whatever employment, and then, the different situations. You have those who may have been injured. I didn't graduate basic training, and it was before the attack on the 11th of September. Nonetheless, you have those who were capable to graduate basic training. You have those who were capable to graduate AIT. You had those who were sent in whichever capacities of wherever they were stationed. And so there's the formation of the U.S. Space Force, as to NASA having been around for a while. You have the Pentagon that's been rolling stuff out as far as a few different other situations. You have the different factors of the VA. And so you also have females in the state of Texas who have signed up to run with military backgrounds, as you have males. And so in regards to the amount of individuals, now again, congratulations to the first female commander of the United States of America's Coast Guard, you have all these combinations too. How long has, and it's been noted before, that individuals who have been President of the United States of America have swiftly aged, if, depending on what they were dealing with, of course, too, during the time frame of their presidency. So in those references, what is it that's been capable to be noticed? What has been capable to be seen? I'm just pointing that out there. So when you take in consideration, he was already Vice President of the United States of America, which, what was said about Cheney, as far as Vice President of the United States of America, when 43 was in office for 8 years? Have some common sense on that. So for 8 years, he was Vice President of the United States of America. Before, okay, he had a 4-year time frame of whatever he did in between, but then in 2020 he ran again. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not doing as much, because he probably legally can't, because of whatever aspects to being a Vice President of the United States of America entails. I wouldn't be surprised. How many people, and you can research this, how many people saw Cheney when he was Vice President of the United States of America? What was, and then you have prior Vice Presidents of the United States of America. So you have someone such as Al Gore. Well, and while I know that he was upset about certain things, he knows what documentation he had signed. He knows whether or not certain things could have actually been discussed. as to when he was Vice President of the United States of America in that time frame when there was 42. As far as Bill Clinton, President of the United States of America, number 42. He knows that. He, I'm, I don't know the full details of, though I know there have to be those who do, such as prior Vice Presidents of the United States of America. So in those particular references, as to this current time frame in the year 2022, what did people expect when you have this history as to the time frames of? What did you think was going to happen? So you do have where Vice President of the United States of America 48, Kamala Harris, yeah, sure, Miss Kamala's been out a lot more than 46 has in certain references. And so it goes back to what I had said in the year 2008 at that early Thanksgiving dinner, which, you know, their Thanksgiving dinner was after whatever as far as I was concerned, but it is the reality regarding my biologicals and then who my 1986 Dundry and Caravan patients been paneling and buried. But it's the truth. You know, I had predicted that 44, he was going to become President of the United States of America, Barack Obama. I predicted that. I also predicted that the armed forces, whatever branch and division, and especially the higher law enforcement, they were gonna be at kind of a back and forth with one another because of the lack of any military directly experience. So 45 had went to military academy as a child in teenage years and stuff like that. So he has some military background. It's not the exact same, though there is some. But it is, I mean, I was looking at going to Marine and Science Technology School because I was invited to attend. I was excited about that. So it's not the same thing, obviously, but it's the reality. And so when you take in consideration that 45 had been to as many rallies and stuff like that as he did, you go to 2020 and that went the way it had. So yeah, there were times where you saw Vice President of the United States of America 47, Mike Pence. There were times. Mainly towards the election. So in regards of during the time frame of 44, when he was President of the United States of America, how many times did you see Vice President of the United States of America 46, Joe Biden, out and about doing stuff? Or was it mainly you saw President of the United States of America 44, Barack Obama? And so, but is the same stuff that was occurring during 44's time occurring during 46's time? What similarities can individuals, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent, what is the similarities that you are capable to notice? As far as the time frame of 2008 through 2015, essentially, and then from 2021 to this year of 2022. Think about that. So, you know, some stuff to ponder regarding depending, and it really doesn't matter what political party you're a part of in that official capacity. All you have to do is really think about it as far as those situations. And it's not even that long of an amount of time. It's just 12 years from 2008 to 2020. So it's 14 years now, and 2008 through 2022. Have people and I kind of wonder this, And I don't know, I don't know how arithmetic has been taught in school because of the time as far as that's concerned. So I'm gonna get a piece of paper real quick, and I want the consideration to review that. Okay, so I don't know if people know this or not, but when you do, and I'm gonna put this up here on the, this is just an irony right now. Okay, so here's the piece of paper. You can see the line folded. So this is the year of 2022. When you subtract, or use the minus sign, you put the smaller number underneath. So 2012 was the last election that was when President Barack Obama, 44, and Vice President Joe Biden, 46, were in office. So then you subtract that. So 2 minus 2 is 0. Of course. Okay. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay? 0 minus 0 is 0, and 2 minus 2 is 0. So this is literally 10 years. Okay? Oh, you can see that right there. So the year 2022, subtract 2012. This is the equal line. So you subtract 2 from 2, and you get 0. You subtract 1 from 2, and you get 1. Can't subtract 0 from each, so it's a 0. And then you subtract 2 from 2. This is the subtraction sign. And you get 0. So that's 10 years. Just in reference to the 10-year point as to that particular factor. So again, 2 minus 2 is 0. 1 subtracted from 2, which is minus. Subtraction is minus. And that's a 1. 0 minus 0, or 0 subtracted from 0 is 0. And 2 subtracted from 2 is 0, so that's 10 years. So I'm going to do it differently now, as far as that's concerned. So I'm going to have 2022 minus, or subtract, 2008. Okay? So 8 subtracted from 2, let me pull this way. 8 subtracted, or minus sign, from 2, you can't do that. You cannot subtract 8 from 2 because 2 is smaller than 8. So what you have to do is you borrow, it's called borrowing. You borrow 1 from the 2, so you make the 2 a 1, and that 1 gets carried over to here to make a 12. So 12 minus 8. So you subtract 8 from 12, that's the number 3. Okay, so I'm going to go put that there. Then you have the 1 that remains, so 0 subtracted from 1 is just 1, so that's 13. Remember, you cannot subtract 0 from 0 and get a number. It's just the number 0. Okay? And 2 subtracted from 2 is 0. So the answer is 13 years. Since the, hold on, 9, 10, 11, 4. I can acknowledge, all right, so that's my mistake. And there's that as far as that's concerned. So there is that, but the larger number is always the first number that's subtracted. So you can't ever subtract from a lower or a lesser number. You have to subtract from the larger number in arithmetic to get the correct equation. Just for clarification, I figured that was taught in school, though I'm not certain. I know that when my son and my daughter were in elementary school, I did not understand how they were doing any of their arithmetic whatsoever. And so there's that to review and take into consideration. So sure, okay, I messed up the number as far as 8 subtracted from 12, though, in that time, I guess maybe in some references, because of the years, the arithmetic is the issue for certain individuals. So taking the time frame of, this is the year 2022, as I did in that equation, again, I'll bring that up. So from 2022, I know there's the arithmetic there. So you subtract 2008 from 2022. Because you have to have the larger number on the top, and you have the smaller number on the bottom, and then that's how you are capable to get the numerical answer. So while some people may have their opinion as far as that, so then the second election, again, you have 2022 compared to 2012. You have to subtract from the larger number, which is this year, 2022, and you subtract the smaller number from the larger number. And that's how you get the number 10. And so I don't know how arithmetic is taught in school at all, though, especially with the situations regarding the time frame of 2020. But that is something to definitely review, because if teachers didn't take that in consideration regarding arithmetic, as to, I don't know why they wouldn't, that's something to consider, that mathematicians would be capable to very easily go into the details of. You very much put when you write an equation, that's how you do it, or I'll give another example. Okay. I will write it side by side. So 2022, to do the first equation from 2008. So side by side, here's the larger number to the left. You subtract the smaller number, and then you get that 14 number in comparison. So in the other reference of 2022 minus 2012 equals 10, as far as that's concerned. So you have 2022 as to the year minus 2012 as to 10. Now I can see in regards to my Medal of Honor art project how some people might be confused because of the way the time frames are written, because it starts with the birth year. Okay, so let me get that piece of paper. So instead, on the, so this is the year that President Barack Obama became President Barack Obama, number 44. So that would be the equivalent of the birth year. Okay, and so this would be this year, 2022, but here is the, so he was elected a second time in 2012 during that election cycle. So this is the year of 2022, but there was the 2016 election. So in addition, or adding, you are capable to use numbers in a different capacity. So 2016 is when the election, so 2016 was when President of the United States of America 45, Donald J. Trump, ran to become President of the United States of America, to be inaugurated in 2017 because of the time frame. But in the prior time is when President Barack Obama, or 44, was President of the United States of America. 2008 was when he had first, regarding 44, or President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, he had ran for presidency. So if you do it from the election cycles compared to, you subtract, again, I'll do it this way so that way you can see the so you have the year 2016 subtracted by 2008, or side by side, it's 2016 subtracted by 2008. So this gives you the example from the prior part of the video in this regard. And so you can just keep the number the same way, and 8 subtracted from 16 is 8, and then you have the same as earlier. In comparison, it's the same side by side, so you still get that number of 8. In reference to how, with my Medal of Honor art project trips, as to my Medal of Honor art project, I could easily see in that reference of arithmetic if individuals may not have really understood in those references as to how on one side, and all you have to do is open my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribell.com, and you can pull up the different areas in reference to the charity section. And in the charity section, you'll see the pieces of my Medal of Honor art project, and you'll see in certain portions of that the dates are different regarding the time frame. So the year with the smaller number is the time of birth. So in reference to, you have the same in regards to that. So in a reverse sort of way, this would be the birth year in comparison to the way some might not understand in reference to markers as far as that. And then you have this as to the last year of regarding President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, number 44. And so when in regards to what you usually see is, so I'll use a different year because I'll use 2009, and then this year is, I'll use the 2020 year cycle. Okay, so technically 2009 is the year that 44, President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, had actually sworn into office after the election cycle in the year 2008. 2020 is when the election cycle had occurred in reference to the second term of 45, President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. However, in that time frame, 2009 through 2017, because of, so 2009 is when President Barack Obama had actually been sworn in as President of the United States of America, and 2017 is when Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, 45, was sworn in as President of the United States of America. So that's technically, because of the way the election cycles are, that's technically the time frame of President Barack Obama's term in office as President of the United States of America, which still adds up to the 8 years, I think. So, doing the arithmetic for that, okay, so in that reference, remember you cannot subtract 9 from 7 because 7 is a smaller number even though it's on the top. So you keep the 1 7, 17, and you subtract 9 from 17. And so that's the number, and just use, so 10, 12. So that's 8 years. And then remember, you can't subtract, well, you can. 0 subtracted from 0 is still 0, and 2 subtracted from 2 is 0. So if you need, 2, so subtract 1, 2. That's how that goes. So that's how many years that President Barack Obama, or 45, was in office, or 44 was in office, and 46, Joe Biden, the current President of the United States of America, which is now the Vice President of the United States of America, was, or 46, as the President of the United States of America now in 2022, was Vice President of the United States of America for this time. So he was already 8 years as to having been Vice President of the United States of America before becoming President of the United States of America, 46, with the same numbers. So that's something to take into consideration regarding that. So what did people in the Democratic Party think was going to be in that capacity as to that particular length of time, as far as the general public? So that's something to consider in various capacities, because then you have the senatorial time and any other aspects of. So what is the viewpoint after taking that in consideration? Because who became 45 and who is 45? Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America, number 45, he had been in office for 4 years. And so in reference to where you have the viewpoint of the knowledge as to term limits, that's something to take in consideration. So, it's definitely a viewpoint as to that, especially as much stuff goes on because of, in comparison to when the United States of America was founded, you didn't have the technological advances that you do now. So there is that massively huge difference. In that particular reference now, when you think about how, if I remember correctly, it was, I don't remember his number, but I think it was President Roosevelt. He had been President of the United States of America for 12 years in a row. And when he had left office, nobody knew what to do because of how much relied upon the President of the United States of America. And so they did term limits, as far as I was concerned, and I don't remember if it was 12 years or 16 years that he had been President of the United States of America. In my opinion, I can see how it would be important to maintain the term limits of a total of 8 in reference to the President of the United States of America. However, I could also see, just in this time frame, how important in some references having the 4 years of one President of the United States of America and then Vice President of the United States of America, and then 4 years, if the 8 years, because you have the viewpoint from 2000 through 2008, you have the knowledge as to how the elected capacity as well as politics went, and how much, whether people paid attention the way I paid attention or whatever capacity's up. You have the time frame of 2008 or 2009 through 2016, essentially, regarding that 8-year time frame, and whether you did pay attention or whether you didn't. In the time frame of 2016 through 2020, like that, everybody started paying attention to detail. And on both sides, both in reference to the Republican side as well as in reference to the Democratic side. Obviously, independents as well. So maybe that's something to take in consideration for a review. So that way people pay more attention, because it's not just at the presidential level, it's also at the local level, as far as local precincts, local districts, the state itself, depending on where at. And each and every year, there are elections. So you have school board districts. As far as elections, you have different precincts and counties or townships, if you're born and raised in New Jersey, though you do have that. Then you have the state level, then you have the federal level, and then congressional and senatorial and presidential with the Vice President of the United States of America. Just pointing that out there as to the considerations of. Look at how long in reference to Roe versus Wade, and yet at the same time, when it comes to situations such as to those news reports regarding the links that I'll put in the video, what is it to actually get justice? You have plenty of reference points to take in that consideration. Is it because of the time frame where most people only paid attention to the presidential and then that time gap in between? thinking that that's only one in comparison to all of the other levels. Something to ponder. So thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Like my official YouTube videos. Share the links to my official YouTube videos. Go to my website, www.susanmuling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Because there's a lot of stuff that can actually be fixed and repaired, though it starts with the closest to. As best as possible. And when you reach out and make attempts, so in regards to bringing that back to the reference point of, I spoke directly with my doctors. I had as many doctor appointments as per OBGYN plus my neurology appointments. And that was at that time of 2001. Think about that. Take that in consideration. Then there's 2002. How many people did I meet in those years that were in the civilian sector in comparison to the military? Then take 2003 and 2004. Who paid attention? Then you have 2005 into 2006. Who paid attention correctly is the more important part. Who paid attention correctly to these details? 2007 into 2008. Who paid attention correctly? 2009 into 2010. Who paid attention to correctly? 2011 to 2012. Who paid attention correctly? I did the best I could. And with as many different situations as I handled as best as I could. How many people were informed in person, face-to-face, in person? So that silence and compliance, well, that's accepting accountability as to responsibility. Because if you couldn't tell from those factors, what level of stupidity? Regarding individuals I once knew in person, face-to-face in person, who may have talked on the phone with someone because of this, what they saw online, or whatever capacities of, and the assumptions automatically in comparison to the reality. So I don't know what the assumptions were depending on. I know what my one particular ex-sister-in-law who was in Georgia in comparison to any other factor of. So if you assume, just because of whatever your assumptions were in comparison to the reality, take that into a viewpoint and actually think about that. Ponder what could have been done and could be done to actually end that reality. So thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and research that. Listen to the video links as far as that, and plenty of time right now. Go to my website, www.susanmuling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Today is the 11th of July, 2022. And yes, there are times when it takes me a bit of time to post it to my website, www.susanmuling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. At the very minimum, though, if you subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos, you'll get that notification each time. You have a good day. And thanks for tuning in. Again, today is the 11th of July, 2022.